Connection can mean so many different things, the context of it, people, places, things, memories, ideas, insights. And I got to tell you, boy, oh boy, have I been experiencing and receiving and tuning into a lot of insights since I came back from Nashville, and then especially since I fell off this stage last Saturday. And so last night, Glenn and I had the opportunity to go to a birthday party. And it's someone that we know, not very well, but it was just such a delight to be invited. And so when we arrived at the restaurant, the birthday gal, wasn't there yet, so we weren't sure that we were in the right place. But then we were ushered over and like, yeah, this is it. And then I'm like, oh, I know you. And then as people started to arrive, what was so super cool was there were all of these connections with people that have all been here or know each other through here or have reconnected or reunited through VTC. And even when people were asking Glenn and I, how do you know so-and-so? I had to kind of think, like, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure it's through VTC. And so it was just so neat to be like, wow, I had no idea that they knew each other or that whatever, but like this seems to be a hub of connection for people, which is, I just think is so super cool. And so that was really neat to see. And then as the evening sort of ended, well, for us anyway, we decided to go home. Then there was a couple that was sitting over, 2 tables over, and I was very aware that they were sitting there, but they weren't really part of our conversation, and so I wasn't super curious about who they were, but I was just like, they were really in my purview. And as we all gathered for a big group photo, I think just after the cake came out or maybe before the cake came out or something, all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, I know this guy. It was someone that I know from Toronto, from about 15 years ago when I used to have my bakery, and there were these super cool, fun, I don't even know what to call them. They weren't cabarets, but they were these gatherings that a very well-connected woman in Toronto who had some money to share would put on these events called Buddha Groove. And the bakery that I had was one of the food vendors that would come to these events. And the person that we ran into last night, Prasad Freeman, he was the guy on stage with his sitar and different instruments and all of this equipment and everything. And we would just like eat amazing food. We would dance our faces off. It was sort of a like super fun networking opportunity for small artisanal business owners. And then it was a fundraising thing too. I don't remember what the organizations were, but all because this one woman had this idea of I want to bring all of these cool people who do these neat things together so that we can have a really good time in community and to connect, right? And so at first he didn't remember me, but as we started talking, he's like, oh, yeah. And then, were you at this thing? Yeah. And oh, I remember this thing. And all these like connections of the memories that we had, started coming up. And then he thought of stuff that I couldn't remember either. And so the whole evening just really made me sort of tune into like, what's connection all about? And, how cool it can be and how fun it can be and how, sort of life-affirming it can be when you discover and make these connections, whether they are with people, whether it is something that you're noticing, whether it's an insight that comes up from after falling off the stage, like did for me last week. And so what came to me was, what's happening here? Like we're in this month of connection, and so what is happening here? What's alive for me in the moment? So there was this birthday party thing that happened last night that has a few connections to VTC, and then this morning I was signing 50 letters that are going out with the income tax return, receipts, income tax receipts. And as a thank you and as showing appreciation for this community's generosity and intentionality with how it stewards this community financially. And as I'm signing my name to all of these letters, a letter that I wrote, I'm connecting with every single individual as I write their name, as I sign my name, just sharing that one sort of like intimate moment, for like 5 seconds or whatever it took to sign each letter. And so feeling connected to so many of you sitting here, because I know so many of you are getting one of those letters and are getting a receipt. And then a few weeks ago, we also finished the membership renewal drive, where every board member had an opportunity to connect with like 12 to 15-ish members and have a conversation with people about, what does community mean to you? How are you feeling about VTC these days? Are you, interested in renewing your membership? And for most people, there was a renewal, but for some people it was like, no, thank you, I'm good. And for those people, it just wasn't a fit anymore. For those people, it wasn't a priority anymore. And that's okay, right? Because we evolve from one moment to the next. And so just because we had a membership somewhere for 25 years doesn't mean that we have to keep going with that forward if it doesn't connect, if it doesn't resonate with us, right? And to me, that's being in integrity. That is being in integrity with who and what you are and what it is that serves you. And it's being integrity with our community too, because it means that you're not, for lack of a better phrase, taking up space. and it means that the people who are left are people who are truly committed. Which brought me to, what is it that we're really committing to? I say many, many times as we build community together. And then as I was signing these letters, as I was thinking about all of those, incredible connections that I witnessed and noticed yesterday, and as these conversations happened, and I see some of the things that were said by people that I didn't connect with, but that other board members connected with, the question that came to mind to me this morning was, are we truly building community, or are we just growing on paper? And that's not a right or wrong question. It's not a judgment. It's a genuine curiosity that I have. And I'm seeing people here that come almost every Sunday, and I'm seeing people here that have been members for a long time, and I'm seeing people here that come once in a while. And this is a different experience for everyone, and there's no right or wrong way to participate in community. There's no right or wrong way, number of times you show up. There's no right or wrong way, but my curiosity is, what does community mean to you? Because I have my ideas, I have my perspective on what community is, but just because I have a certain perspective doesn't necessarily mean that perspective jives with you, right? And so going forward, especially as we approach the AGM next month on Sunday, April 12th from 1 to 3 p.m., there will be a slide later in the show to remind you, mark your calendars if you haven't already. I would like to invite everyone, whether you are present here in person today, watching online, or part of this community in some form, to really get clear on what this community means to you. And community, it's not just about membership. It's not just about filling out a membership form, submitting it. The board's like, yeah, we'd love to have this person, part of our community. What does it mean for you? And so we got some of those answers, when we talked to people, but I know that there's so much more. So there's going to be an opportunity for some conscious connection in just a few minutes, and maybe you want to talk about some of that stuff there, but I also encourage you to email me, email info@ with some of your ideas, email, who are the board members here today? There's Linda, there's Mary, there's Kathy, there's myself, okay? Talk to your board members and let them know what community means to you and any sort of ideas that you might have. And so just moving into a slightly different direction, yesterday we had our third prayer class, and in that prayer class we talked about labeling versus experience. We talked about studying stuff, reading about it, talking about it, learning about it, and then really embodying it. And then the topic that I talked about yesterday was safety. And not physical safety, well, kind of, but safety for expansion, safety for stepping into something new, safety into different and unfamiliar. And the reason that I was talking about that is because this is a prayer class, and prayer is something that is affirmational, at least the way that we do it. Prayer is affirming the inherent truth, the wholeness of a person, a situation, an experience, no matter what is going on. But here's the deal. No matter how many years you study, no matter how many years you practice, if there are stories and imprints and conditioning and beliefs that are hanging out in the subjective mind that are anchored and founded and grounded and tethered to trauma, to negativity, to discord, to not feeling safe, then trying on something like peace and calm and expansiveness is a threat. And no matter how good you are with your 5-step prayer, no matter how intentional you are about using your conscious mind to just, really open up to these possibilities, these infinite possibilities of being, knowing that it's really your heart that's doing the work. And it's not even the heart that's doing the work. We're just opening up and allowing the truth of our being to be more fully experienced. But if the body, if the nervous system feels unsafe because it feels like a threat, even though it's like such good stuff, then we're going to shut down. Our nervous system is going to go, no way, we're going to go into survival mode, and then it's going to be really, really challenging to continue affirming something and experience that affirmation in form. And so I introduced a whole bunch of nervous system reset tools yesterday, some mindfulness tools, some breath stuff, so that we could signal safety in our bodies before we try on something new, unfamiliar, different, and expansive. And then when we do experience that new, unfamiliar, different, and expansive, to go, oh my gosh, I want more of that. I feel totally safe with this like new, amazing, powerful, expansive feeling and experience. It's totally safe, it's not threatening, and I can totally experience more of that. That's a butterfly hug. It's just one form of nervous system resetting. And so the reason I bring that up is because our community is growing. Our community is expanding. This organization is continually evolving. And what was is very different from what is probably quite different from what can be. And so I've only been here for 2.5 years. Like, I am so new to this community, as are some of you sitting in these seats. And then there are some of you who have been part of this community and this organization, I see Ed smiling, for decades upon decades. I talk to people who have been members longer than I've been alive, And so to experience new and different and unfamiliar, even if it's like the most well-intended thing, can feel like a threat because it's unfamiliar. And so what I really, really, really want to do, again, especially as we move towards this AGM, where there was going to be a few more board members, like some are coming off, some are coming on, so there's going to be a new iteration of the board, to come in super clear about what it is the community means to us and how it is that we're connecting. When I think some of the other New Thought centers that are here, they are established. They have been going strong for a long time. And those communities are like ingrained. And I feel like here, we're kind of just getting started. And so my question to you is, what are you willing to invest in this community that you're a part of? Because it's not just about membership, or like being something on a piece of paper on a list. It's about participation. It's about intention. It's about active investment. And so there is a collective consciousness to our organization. There's a collective consciousness to this community. There's a collective nervous system to this community. And we all make that up, okay? No one individual here is responsible for VTC as a whole. And just because I stand at the front of the room and I have the title spiritual director doesn't mean that it's all about me. This is community. Right? Everyone is part and parcel of this community. So we all, if we are really building community together, let's build community together. But we can only build it together if you are super clear on what this community means to you, individually, for yourself. And I'm inviting you to do that, okay? Especially through this month of connection. So in the end, my question is, are we truly building community? And if you say yes to this, what does your yes to VTC truly mean? Is this community worth investing in? And if yes, how are you prepared to invest? Because community is something not something we attend, it is something we take responsibility for individually and as a collective. Thank you, and so it is.